whilst common practice dictates that champions in wrestling should be young, strapping individuals who can carry the company on their backs for generations to come, sometimes performers will defy these rules and win gold well into their golden years. Way to go, Grandpa. I'm Adam Pacitti from Cultaholic Wrestling, and these are 10 wrestlers who won championships aged 50 plus. Join us. Number 10, Adam Copeland and Christian Cage in the AEW TNT Championship. At AEW World's End in December 2023, Adam Copeland, the man formerly known as Sexton Hardcastle, oh yeah, and Edge, defeated his friend-turned-rival Christian Cage to win the TNT Championship, his first title in the promotion. How did he celebrate? By losing the belt back to Christian immediately after he cashed in the title shot Killswitch had earned on the pre-show. Oh well, it's fun while it lasted. Still, at least Copeland actually got to hold the belt and break a record in the process. At the age of 50 years and 2 months, Copeland became the oldest person to win the belt and the oldest person to capture a singles championship of any type in AEW. And then Christian had to go and ruin it. Cage, who was born exactly 1 month after Copeland, can also say that he won the TNT title in his 50s too, of course. God, it's all so petty between these two, isn't it? Oh look, Edge has done it again. Grow up, you two. Number 9, Ric Flair in the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Despite sometimes moving like one, Hulk Hogan wasn't actually a pensioner during any of his WCW World title reigns. In fact, he was only 48 when he won his last WWE title. Well, I say only. It shouldn't surprise anyone that the title of oldest ever WCW champion goes to a man who was nearly 60 when he first retired at WrestleMania 24 and had his last match aged 73. There were a lot of inverted commas in that sentence. Ric Flair won his final WCW championship on the May 29th, 2000 edition of Nitro. Actually, he didn't win it, he was given it by Kevin Nash, and then he lost it to Jeff Jarrett later the same night. WCW in 2000, everybody. This reign still stands in the history books, and Flair was 51 years old at the time, a record that would never be broken. And hey, if you're not satisfied with that answer, how about the 3 sets of tag titles Flair won during his subsequent WWE run? Or the fact he was 56 when he beat Carlito for the Intercontinental Championship, making him the oldest ever holder of that title too. Happy now? No? Good, me neither. Number 8, PCO and the ROH World Championship. The Ring of Honor World Championship has been held by many great names in the days before they got world famous. Kevin Owens, Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, Seth Rollins, all these guys and more are a testament to the title's ability to make new stars. And that's why it's perhaps surprising to see the belt was once held by a guy who once feuded with Bret Hart over a jacket in the 90s. Pierre Carlule, better known as PCO, had a career renaissance in later life when he adopted the character of a mad scientist's creation seemingly impervious to pain. His willingness to take bumps that would have scared people half his age got him very over, to the point where he won the ROH World Championship from Rush at the promotion's Final Battle event in 2019, just 17 days short of his 52nd birthday. While some people may look down on this decision and call it gimmicky, it was actually seriously uplifting to watch a man who had been through so much in his career finally get some recognition. And I'm not just saying that because I'm terrified of him. Number 7, Terry Funk at the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. It's hard to think of the dearly departed Terry Funk as anything but a grumpy old man, but there was a time when he was actually young, or so I'm told. We don't care about that though, we are interested in the period of his life that Funk himself referred to as middle-aged and crazy, which is when he took part in the main event of the first ever pay-per-view for Extreme Championship Wrestling. The Funker actually wrestled twice on this night, first winning a 3-way dance against the Sandman and Stevie Richard to earn a shot against ECW champion Raven, who he defeated to claim the gold. At the age of nearly 53, Funk had shown everyone that this hardcore malarkey wasn't just for the young whippersnappers. He held the belt for a respectable 118 days before dropping it to Sabu, but his title wins didn't stop there. He won the WWF World Tag Team Championships the following year at WrestleMania 14 and would hold the WCW United States and Hardcore Championships in the year 2000. Oh, and he also won the Juggalo Championship Wrestling Heavyweight title in 2005, age 61. Can't forget about that now, can we? Number 6, Goldberg and the WWE Universal Championship. The first two winners of WWE's Universal Championship were Finn Balor and Kevin Owens, two men who had worked their way up the indie scene, then NXT, before finally proving their worth on the main roster. The third person to win that belt was Goldberg. After leaving WWE in disgrace following the minor natural disaster that was his WrestleMania 20 match, Goldberg returned to the promotion in 2016, squashing Brock Lesnar at Survivor Series in a very memorable moment. Unfortunately, WWE took this as a sign that people wanted to see Goldberg as their world champion, which they really didn't. Still, he was booked to hastily beat Owens for the belt at Fastlane 2017, 3 months after his 50th birthday. Ah well, at least this never happened again. Oh wait, it totally did. 3 years later, Big Bill bulldozed Bray Wyatt's Fiend character to win his second Universal title, extending his own record as its oldest holder. In both cases, Goldberg would drop the belt only a handful of weeks later at WrestleMania, and both of the men he beat for the gold would never quite reach true main event status ever again. Number 5, Chavo Classic and the WWE Cruiserweight Championship. In 2004, whilst in the middle of a feud with his cousin Eddie, Chavo Guerrero Jr. decided to bring more family into the fold when he started running with his father, Chavo Guerrero Sr., aka Chavo Classic. The eldest son of Gory Guerrero, Chavo I was a successful wrestler in his own right, competing across the US and Mexico in the 1970s and 80s. He was only in WWE to help out his son to begin with, but he soon rediscovered his lust for gold. Classic wrestled a number of matches, often alongside his son, including a 2-on-1 handicap victory over John Cena, and found himself in a triple threat alongside Spike Dudley for his boys' Cruiserweight Championship. The 55-year-old accidentally won the match and the title, becoming the oldest champion in its almost decade-long history. It might not have done his son any good, but Chavo Sr. winning the Cruiserweight belt was an inspired idea. He would hold it for about a month before dropping it to Rey Mysterio. Number 4, Scott Steiner and the TNA World Tag Team Championships. Despite the ridiculous number of tag team championships he won alongside his brother Rick, both of Scott Steiner's runs with the TNA tag team titles were with people he wasn't related to. The first went down in 2009, when Big Papa Pump won the belts alongside fellow main event Mafia member Booker T. Fans of wrestling's greatest nutter would have to wait another 9 years to see the belts on him again, when he won them at the Redemption pay-per-view in 2018. And who was his partner that evening? None other than Eli Drake, which means that the man currently known as LA Knight was once tag team champions with the Big Bad Booty Daddy. All of his success in WWE pales in comparison to this, in my humble opinion. Unfortunately, Scotty and Drake's reign would end after just 2 days, but he still got the chance to hold the belt at the age of 55, which is something most wrestlers can only dream of. This would be Freakzilla's final title win in a major company, although he does still wrestle occasionally, so maybe there's still time. Are we still looking for somebody to beat Roman Reigns? Number 3, Sting and the AEW Tag Team Championships. The icon Sting could have been on this list for his final reign with the TNA World title, which happened during his 53rd year on this earth. But come on, 53? That's no age, considering what he's been up to since. When AEW first signed the then 61-year-old Stinger, fans were wondering how they were going to use him. Maybe as just a manager for Darby Allin, somebody to roll out for big media events, but we were way off the mark. Not only did Sting compete in several matches since his snowy arrival, but he's put on some of the best performances of his entire career, treating his body with reckless abandon and performing stunts that no man his age has any business even attempting, let alone doing well. All this momentum came to a head when, on the February 7th, 2024 edition of Dynamite, he and his goth son unseated Ricky Starks and Big Bill to win the AEW Tag Team Championships. Darby aged 31, Sting aged 64. That has got to be one of the biggest age gaps between partners ever. God bless you, Sting, and please put your feet up in retirement, you absolute maniac. Number 2, the fabulous Moolah and the WWF Women's Championship. During the Attitude Era, when women's wrestling was an afterthought of an afterthought, one of the few beacons of hope was Ivory, a legitimate competitor who did her best to elevate the entire division with her. How was she rewarded for her efforts? Well, by being booked to lose to an old lady on pay-per-view. Ivory was the defending women's champion going into No Mercy 1999. Her opponent, the fabulous Moolah, a woman nearly 40 years older than her who first held the same belt back in 1956. Moolah and her partner in crime, Mae Young, were very much comedy characters at this point, if you could call some of what they did comedy. Sadly, this was no laughing matter, as the pre-war performer defeated a humiliated Ivory to capture the belt at the staggering age of 76 years old. To give Moolah some credit, some 76-year-olds would fall over trying to get into the ring, let alone actually having a match. And hey, at least this bizarre experiment only lasted 8 days before Ivory thankfully won the belt back. This win made Moolah the oldest champion of any kind in WWE history, a record she would hold for 2 decades until number 1, Pat Patterson and the WWE 24/7 Championship. In the year 2000, at the age of 59, Pat Patterson pinned his fellow stooge Gerald Briscoe to win the Hardcore Championship, the oldest person to ever hold the belt. 19 years after that, history repeated itself, sort of. The 24/7 Championship was WWE's modern answer to the Hardcore belt, if the question was, can you make a title that's nowhere near as good as the Hardcore Championship? On a special reunion episode of Raw, then-champ Drake Maverick tripped while running away from the Boogeyman, allowing a 78-year-old Patterson to pin the diminutive Brit and become the oldest champ in WWE history. Of all the accolades across Patterson's long and storied history, first Intercontinental Champion, inventor of the Royal Rumble, and so on, this has got to be one of the most remarkable. At nearly 80 years old, he won a championship via pinfall in the biggest wrestling company of all time. Whichever way you slice it, that is pretty incredible. In a nice callback, Patterson lost the belt that night to Briscoe, avenging his loss from almost 2 decades prior. It would have been better if they were wearing evening gowns, sure, but you take what you can get, don't you?